For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini here with local municipal candidate Kim Martin, who is, full disclosure, running in my riding of Hamilton Township. So that's the township just north of the town of Cobourg. And we're about 100 kilometers, an hour and a half east of Toronto and the GTA. So I guess first and foremost, Kim, tell us a little bit about who you are and why you decided to become politically involved and run for local councillor.
You know, I am from the country, although I do have a lot of city experience and a lot of government experience for that matter. I've spent well over 20 years in public and private sector working on a global scale and, at the provincial level and to some degree at the federal level in an outsourced capacity. So lots of experience. I'm hoping to bring some of that to the table and maybe be able to instill some change and some different thought processes from the way that we're currently doing things. No one has had I don't know whether it's the courage or the desire to sort of step up and really take a good look at things and say, is there something wrong here? Should we be doing something different?
And I assume that that's in relation to the general handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, in the sense the pandemic, when I use that word, I refer to the government's response as the pandemic, not necessarily COVID exclusively being the pandemic.
Correct. The response. I look around and I look at businesses and what it has done just in this small town, and you talk to people and just hear what it's done to the business. I had a business. I had to shut my business down. So I went from earning a fairly significant salary to earning $2,000 a month.
Serb.
Yeah. So, I made sure I got off of that as fast as my little feet could carry me. Well, I understand there's a forum and there's the standard process, but one of the things that I would like to see happen is that we hold regular meetings in the community to just have an open discussion with the residents to make sure that we're hitting what they want us as elected people to hit. And it's almost like a pulse check, like, are you on the mark or are you off? Mm-hmm. And those are some of the things that I want to bring to the table. And
we live in this riding there are a lot of farmers here as well. So apart from community engagement and wanting to feel heard, what are some other themes that you're hearing from constituents as you're out canvassing?
They don't want taxes to go up. I think that's a big theme across the table. I think I would probably echo that sentiment. I think a lot of people are also questioning, it seems like a fairly petty little thing, but the fees for garbage pickup to put a bag of garbage at the end of your driveway. A lot of people have lived in other municipalities, and I would echo these comments because I've experienced the same. You don't pay to put a bag of garbage at the end of your driveway. Getting into the use of people's land. This is a big thing that I've heard from multiple farmers. They have large parcels of land that they farm and they give back to the community however they farm, whether it's dairy, beef, whatever. And they often have family members that help with that farming. And it usually takes quite a family to do farm work, having grown up on a farm. Oftentimes they want to be able to give their children a lot off of their property.
I think our viewers would be disappointed if I didn't ask you to go a little bit more in depth about your government experience and what kinds of contracts you have on a global scale, experience with negotiating, especially as there's so much hesitation and concern with a lot of the Canadians that I speak to anyway, about what Canada looks like on that global scale.
Yeah, from contracts that I've negotiated on a global scale, you think of any service, whether it's you've got your IT data centers. Now, I don't know how much you know about data centers, but these data centers are housed all over the world. And a lot of organizations will go with cloud services, what we call virtual services. Well, those virtual services are essentially you're getting space in someone else's data center. You're using their infrastructure, and they house your stuff there. And these data centers can be all over the place. So those, I've actually negotiated agreements for those sorts of things in India. I've done construction agreements in Australia, the UK, obviously here, pretty much in every province. I've done facilities agreements, so that whether that's I'm just trying to think of an example. Whether you need waste services, we were on to garbage there earlier. So I've negotiated waste contracts, and obviously not an attractive subject, but
But one that your constituents here are concerned about with those gouging, really, garbage tags. I guess just as we're losing sunlight here, Kim, in closing, do you have any other remarks that we didn't quite get to or touch on here, and a final message heading into the polls?
I think the message I would say to everybody is you've got a lot of really good candidates running in this election. You know, we've got 3 councillor positions that have to be filled, and there's 6 candidates running. I would just encourage everyone to really look at what those candidates are representing themselves as, and get out and vote. Mm-hmm. We need you to make a change.
And now, if people wanted to learn more about your platform and speak to you directly, where could they find you?
Kim for councillor at proton.me.
Mm-hmm. And for anyone at home, please do take that to heart as we approach the polls on October 25th. Reach out to your local candidates, see what they stand for, ask them some even vague, open-ended questions so that they don't know what kind of response you're hoping to hear. Let them speak for themselves. Thanks, Kim, for joining me. And here in Hamilton Township for Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. Feeling ignored by elected representatives and their lack of transparency are key concerns many Canadians have expressed in today's political landscape. It's why we've launched the petition at stopthecensorship.ca, because censorship has no place in a functioning democracy. Head on over to stopthecensorship.ca. You can learn more, of course, view our reports on the subject, and sign our petition. We appreciate all of your support.